Night of the Grave Digging Part 2. Finished with the preparations, he leaned over and slapped the sealed coffin lid a few times. The scent of fresh wood mixed with the damp earth, creating a pungent smell that made his nose itch. He sniffled and coughed a few times. After positioning himself, Kwong wedged a crowbar into the coffin lid, his body arching then bearing down as he used all his strength to pry it open. The screech of metal grating against wood rang out sharply, a sound so jarring it made his scalp tingle. The nails creaked and groaned as they slowly gave way. Kwong drew in a breath, puffing out his chest, clenched his teeth, and with a final heave, the crowbar bent slightly with a loud crack. The lid popped open, trembled for a moment, then hung loosely along the edge of the coffin. The stench of decomposition rushed out with the air, thick and suffocating. On instinct, Kwong reeled back, clamping a hand over his mouth. But his stomach churned, rising in violent waves until bile surged into his throat. Unable to hold it back, he bent over and vomited violently. 4 or 5 barn owls swooped in from nowhere, circling the mouth of the pit, wings flapping with a dry rustle before letting out shrill screeches, ek ek, ek ek. Kwong panted heavily, tears and snot streaming down his face. His mouth burned with the acrid taste of bile. He tore off a piece of his sleeve and wrapped it tightly around his mouth and nose. Lightning streaked across the sky in tangled veins, thunder crashing louder and more frequently. Kwong tiptoed closer to the open coffin. He squinted, cautiously peering inside with a wary gaze. But it was dim and unclear, he could only make out the shape of a person lying with their face aligned to his line of sight. Kwong trembled as he gently lifted the coffin lid and leaned it carefully against the edge of the pit, as if afraid of scratching or damaging it. Before he could turn back around, Kwong suddenly held his breath, not daring to even swallow. His heart thudded wildly, like it was about to burst from his chest. There were faint noises, shuffling, shifting, coming from inside Mr. Hai's coffin. Above, the owls still circled, calling frantically under the flickering lightning. The sounds hadn't stopped when he heard another noise, wheezing breaths, urgent and raspy, like someone trying to speak right behind him. Cold sweat broke out on the back of his neck, and the chill spread quickly through his body, almost making him collapse from fear. Kwong tried to calm himself, clenching his fists and repeating silently, "It's nothing, just nerves." But the reality before him was impossible to ignore. Could it be? Could Mr. Hai is still alive? The thought gripped him with horror. His lips trembled as he muttered, voice shaky. No, no. How could that be possible? There was no answer, only a faint, rising scratch, growing louder and clearer. The sound of fingernails clawing madly against the wood of the coffin pierced through the air and straight into his ears. Goosebumps covered his entire body. His hair stood on end. He stood frozen at the bottom of the pit, one hand hesitantly bracing against the edge, preparing to climb out. But suddenly, everything went silent. The chaotic, terrifying sounds abruptly vanished. Confused and curious, Kwong whipped his head around. The coffin remained as it was, faintly illuminated by flickering light. The barn owls had landed near the edge of the pit and were now scratching at the dirt, hunting for insects. Kwong exhaled in relief. It was all in my head. The dead can't come back to life. I'm just spooked by my own imagination. He rose onto his toes, cautiously peeking above the pit's edge, though in his mind, he knew no one would dare come to a graveyard at this hour. Only now did he finally pull the small flashlight from the burlap sack. He needed proper light to quickly and accurately retrieve the gold from Mr. Hai's body. Kwong bent over and shone the flashlight starting from the base of the coffin. A pair of sleek, shiny black leather shoes and discolored white socks appeared under the beam. The fabric pants stretched tightly around the bloated legs of the corpse. As the light moved up toward the chest, Kwong squinted, catching a glimpse of something odd. He trembled, slowly guiding the beam back. There, on the inside wall of the coffin, were countless fresh scratch marks. Down here in this deep grave, it was just him and the coffin with its lid now removed. Kwong directed the beam toward the corpse's outstretched hand. Though it seemed illogical, part of him couldn't shake the thought that Mr. Hai had revived and scratched the coffin in a desperate signal. His eyes widened, and his earlier fear momentarily melted away. On the middle finger of Mr. High's hand, a gleaming gemstone-studded gold ring sparkled under the flashlight. As if in a trance, Kwong dropped to his knees, reaching out eagerly to touch the ring. The cold metal sent a shiver of delight down his spine. Greed overwhelmed him. "There it is. The gold," Kwong whispered. "By tomorrow, my life will change. I'll have money, lots of money." Ignoring the stench of decay, he unwrapped the cloth from his face and bit the flashlight between his teeth. He lifted Mr. High's cold, gray hand and examined it. The fingers had bloated, trapping the ring tightly around the bone, making it nearly impossible to slide off. The more he struggled, the more the dead flesh peeled off in chunks, exposing raw tissue beneath. Ek, 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 ek. Suddenly, Kwong jolted as the owl scattered, wings flapping in a chaotic frenzy, shrieking in fear. Before he could react, he dropped the flashlight in terror. Inside the coffin, a pair of glowing eyes had opened, staring straight at him. Kwong gasped in horror. What is that? Pale-faced, he stared at the crimson eyes, his trembling hands fumbling blindly for the flashlight. But before he could grab it, a black shadow shot straight at his face. A cat, no, something more like a miniature Black Panther, leapt at him, hissing and clawing. Its razor-sharp claws tore across his face, drawing streams of blood that burned with pain. It was the first time he'd encountered a lynx so big. Kwong rolled and wrestled, struggling to fend it off. When he finally caught its neck, he hurled it to the ground with all his strength. The beast's claws dug into his arms, slicing into his skin like knives. With a furious growl, he clenched tighter, strangling the creature. Its snarls faded, replaced by Kwong's curses. Panting in exhaustion, he finally threw the heavy beast up toward the edge of the pit. But his strength failed. It landed back inside the coffin, thrashed for a moment, then went still. Its glowing eyes dimmed like candles snuffed out, disappearing into the darkness. Ignoring his bleeding wounds, Kwong groped along Mr. High's corpse, yanking a gold chain from around the neck and stuffing it gleefully into his pocket. Thunder and lightning roared overhead, the sky alight with jagged bolts resembling giant centipedes crawling across the heavens. Kwong glanced upward, then quickly turned back, gripping Mr. High's hand to remove the remaining ring. But it remained stubbornly stuck. Left with no other choice, he reached into his waistband and pulled out a utility knife. He had to dismember the hand to retrieve the ring. He placed the stiff, icy hand on the coffin's edge and began slicing. The blade screeched as it scraped against the bones, making a high-pitched whine. Mr. High's finger was nearly severed, the flesh dangling by a flap of skin. Suddenly, Kwong froze as the black cat stirred again. With a shriek, it sprang out of the coffin. At that moment, Mr. High's body twitched, his fingers flexed, slowly unfurling in Kwong's grasp. Terrified, Kwong held his breath. The knife slipped from his hand, and his whole body went numb. Pale as death, he staggered back, shaking. But before he could run, the corpse suddenly sat upright inside the coffin. Mr. High's freezing hand shot out and clamped tightly around Kwong's wrist. Immediately after, a blinding bolt of lightning crashed down from the sky. Boom! Boom! Rain poured like a waterfall. Kwong screamed in terror as he saw Mr. High's face, his eyes completely clouded white, staring at him with deep hatred. Let go of me. Let me go. I beg you. Kwong panted as he struggled to pry off Mr. High's hand that was gripping his tightly. He clung to the edge of the pit, trying to pull himself out, but before he could lift one leg, a hand grabbed him and yanked him back down. Help me. Help me. It's a corpse possessed by a spirit. From below came a gurgling, growling sound that terrified Kwong so much he didn't dare look back. He screamed as he kicked and flailed, his hands clawing at the edge of the pit trying to pull himself up. Boom! Boom! Lightning struck again, sending dirt flying in all directions. Kwong felt dizzy, his head spinning wildly before everything went black. In a daze, he heard an eerie laugh echoing from Mr. High's coffin, followed by a growling, resentful voice accompanied by the crashing thunder and howling storm. Give it back, mine with gold. The gold is mine. The sound of splashing water snapped Quam awake. The pit was now nearly filled with water, and a body was floating face down right behind him. Quam squinted and saw Trong also standing nearby, holding a flashlight and rummaging around. So you've been following me all along. Good, Quam thought, his eyes gleaming with a sinister idea to frame Trong. Quietly, he slipped back down into the water-filled pit to avoid being seen. Trong, unaware, shone his flashlight into the pit, clearly searching for the gold. I knew you were up to something, Trong muttered. Just didn't expect you'd dig up Mr. High's grave for gold. But now, it's all mine. Quam flinched at the sound of Trong's voice. As soon as he saw his friend's hand reaching down into the water, Quam grabbed it tightly and yanked him down. Trong only had time to scream before he lost his balance and tumbled into the pit. Quick as a flash, Quam climbed up to the edge, ignoring Trong's desperate splashing and flailing. His plan was to stay up top and, if Trong tried to surface, he'd push him back under until he drowned. But something strange was already happening in the pit. Trong's panicked screams rang out. Ghost! Ghost! Help me! There's a ghost! He tried to grab the edge of the pit, but something dragged him down. His hands reached up in a last effort to escape, flailing for help, before vanishing beneath the murky grave water. When all fell silent, Quam crept closer to check. He panted, eyes wide with horror. The grave had become a foul, muddy pit that had swallowed Trong whole. Tomorrow, when someone found Trong's body, everyone would think he was the one who did this, and paid the price. Just the thought made Quam smile in satisfaction. But before he could stand up, a round, pale head rose from the water. The gray, lifeless face of Mr. High, eyes white and wide, stared straight at him. Mr. High. No, no. It can't be. Quam's teeth chattered violently as he scrambled backward, then staggered to his feet and fled. The chilling, ghostly laughter echoed behind him, sending shivers down his spine, until it slowly faded into the steady sound of falling rain. Quam stumbled along the village path toward Lan's house. Lan, half asleep, heard her dog barking madly, then suddenly howling, scratching wildly at her bedroom door. Knock, 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 knock. Lan jolted awake, ears straining to catch the faint sound of her name being called. Quam, she gasped. Is that you? It's me. Open the door for me. She rushed to the door, but suddenly hesitated. What's going on? Why are you here at this hour? Open up. Hurry, I have the money now. Money? What money? Still confused, she unlatched the door. When she saw Quam, she instinctively reached out to stifle her scream. Why is your face covered in blood? It's nothing, just a scratch. We have to run away from here. Lan stammered, run away? But it's storming outside. I've got money now. We'll go to town and start a new life. I'll take care of you. But why now? I'll explain later. We have to go before sunrise. To reassure her, Quam pulled out a gold necklace from his pocket and showed it to her. I've got money now. We can get married. Where did you get that necklace? Don't tell me you stole it. Quam interrupted. No. It's ours now. Don't worry. Let's just go. I'm scared. Let's talk tomorrow. Please go home. Getting irritated, Quam snapped. You're kicking me out? What did you promise me? Isn't this gold enough? We'll get married. He lunged forward and grabbed her, trying to drag her outside. Let me go. Let me go. I'll scream. Get off me. Lan clung to the door, groping for the light switch and flipping it on. As the light filled the room, Quam, now furious, pulled her out despite her screaming, causing her to fall backward to the ground. Lan's parents, now awake, turned on the lights and ran toward her room. Panicking, Quam fled into the night. You won't get rid of me that easily. I'll come back for you, he yelled. The next night, in the hospital, Lan's mother sat beside her daughter's bed. When her husband entered, she cried out, "I don't know what happened. She was fine, now she's completely lost her mind. What am I supposed to do now?" The father looked at his unconscious daughter, her pale skin twitching occasionally, and muttered, "It's your fault for getting in the way of their relationship. This is what happens. It's all because of you." Sniffling, the mother said, "I just wanted what's best for Lon, for her to marry a decent man. Is that so wrong? Why are you blaming me now? What did the police say? Are we in trouble?" Her husband sighed. "The police figured it out. Last night, Kwong and Trong dug up Mr. Hai's grave to steal gold. Trong drowned in the rainwater-filled pit. His wife's about to give birth." The mother gasped. "And Kwong? Have they found him yet?" The husband shook his head grimly. "Poor kid. They found a gold necklace in his pocket. So where is he? Is he all right?" He spoke softly. "Kwong died last night too." After a pause, he added, "He was struck by lightning. His body was found floating in Mr. Hai's grave. I feel so sorry for him. I just hope he moves on peacefully and doesn't haunt our daughter anymore." Lan's mother broke down, sobbing in fear and grief. "It all makes sense now. Lon told me she saw Kwong in a dream last night. He came to the door and asked her to follow him. When she turned on the light, his head was split open, blood pouring all over his body. I thought it was just a nightmare, but no. It scared her so badly she went mad." Lying unconscious in the hospital bed, Lon shivered as the wind howled, bursting through the windows. She slowly opened her eyes and saw a shadow outside the window, calling her name. "Lon, come with me. Let's leave this place." She bolted upright, only to find Kwong standing right in front of her, his face smashed, his skin gray, his icy hand pulling her along. She screamed, body convulsing in terror. "No, no. Let me go. Let me go." The ghostly laughter echoed once again through the night, as Lan's face twisted into a mask of madness and horror. The end.